Hello, this is Haberman, back again with more Attack of the Mutants. And in this second episode, we're gonna get into the actual game proper. That first episode was more cutscene than gameplay. The second episode is also gonna be more cutscene than gameplay. That's just the general theme that runs through the game, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, who's to say, really? Look at this jukebox. Yeehaw! Swing your partner. Oh, that's the whole song. Can we pop another quarter in? Play another oldie but a goodie? Alright, this is exactly my jam right here. And with that, I'm motivated. I got my revolver at my side, except for the part where we don't get an actual ranged weapon in this game until very late in the game, so maybe scratch that. Here's the printing room. I'm assuming this is where they print? Print what exactly? Well, hopefully this little cutscene here will explain. Oh, how meta is this? They're printing the comic book that the main villain appears in. I sort of struggle to understand the logic of this when I think about it for more than a second, and I want to say that it sort of struck me as odd back when I was a kid, too. Oh no, it looks like we accidentally got stuck on the conveyor belt. What am I gonna do? Well, apparently I don't have to do much, because we stopped just short of getting grinded to death by the gears. Bear that in mind for just a minute from now. Oh, I don't mean to fall on that again. After all, it's dangerous according to that sign. Oh boy. And oh boy, that's not what I think it is it? Oh, R.L. Stein. Corrupting the impressionable youth one calendar girl at a time. Well, that really needed a cutscene, didn't it? Just a little pointless. And uh-oh. Well, that's my cue to book it. And no, of course it's locked, inconveniently enough. Right, well, conveniently enough, and as you may have gathered already, our mission here is to push the monster onto the button that got us stuck on the conveyor belt earlier. And mission accomplished. We crushed him to death. Poor fella. Yeah, so luckily we were completely unharmed by it, but him, not so much. Oh well, his loss, our gain. We press ever forward. And actually, as it turns out, this whole floor is more or less unnecessary. I mean, we come here basically to kill that monster, and that is the last we'll see of him. And we can take the elevator. Actually, we can take one of two elevators. But what we should be doing is opening this door here with this here key, prompting another entirely necessary cutscene. And here we are with some more fearsome-looking enemies, most fearsome we've seen in the game thus far, I'd argue. And actually, this whole sort of area is kind of unnecessary as well, as it turns out, that we don't need to be here. This is a sort of optional area, as it were. Which, in this game, when you have an optional area, that means that you're looking to find another piece of the superhero costume, the one that we need to collect all the pieces of in order to get the best ending for this game. And so that's our motivation to tolerate another ventilation shaft maze, complete with damaging fan blades. Only this time there's enemies in the vents now, so that's a bit of an added challenge. Also, it's a more elaborate maze, which might take us a while to get through this, as it turns out. But yes, totally skippable if you can't be bothered to navigate here, or if you're a kid who just, doesn't have good maze navigating skills, which I didn't as a kid. I never got the best ending in this game back when I played it back in the day. And since we're probably going to be stuck in this labyrinth for a while, I might as well talk a bit more about my youth. One of the first games I ever played as a kid, really, was Doom, or Wolfenstein 3D. I can't say with any certainty which one was my first game that I played, but I played them back in the early 90s. So you know what, I really grew up on the classic 2.5D FPSs. Well, there's actually the piece of the costume right there, and I'm sure I'll make my way out of here in due time. Nice gloves for us. Right, so when I got this game back in, what was it, 97 or 98 probably, I had already been spoiled by, proper games intended for adults, ostensibly. And so playing this game intended for kids, being a fan of Goosebumps, which I was back in the day, I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed by this whole package. And admittedly, I was part of what was probably a pretty small demographic of kids who were into Goosebumps who had already played Doom and Wolfenstein 3D by that point. So, yes, it was sort of lost on me. But, you know, I was able to see some of the holes and the flaws in the design even back then. And it sort of taught me to be a bit more critical of games I was playing back then. And that sort of carried on to today. Right. Well, that brings us back to the elevator quandary. And as it turns out, one of these elevators takes us to yet another optional area with yet another piece of the costume. I don't remember which one though, so we're gonna save to make sure I don't pick the wrong one. The right one's gotta be the right one, right? Yes, it is! Perfect, okay. Got it right on the first try. This is sort of a odd area. There's no background music here, just sort of ambiance. And weirder yet, we get a gun! Yeah! Almost like a proper first-person shooter for a change. Admittedly, we're shooting what appear to be, You ever played with one of those guns that shoots the foam discs? Yeah, that's all this is doing for me right now. Right, and I'll also spoil that this gun is short-lived, that we lose it by the time we leave this floor. So it's just a tease, which is... Man, that's just mean of them, isn't it? Right, well, we're also going to deal with another thing we don't have to deal with too often in this game, which is actually lucky for us in this case, because it's a jumping puzzle in a 2.5D FPS, where we... Well, let me deal with this guy behind us. I was going to say, where we can't look up or down. Well, we can sort of look up or down, we can tilt a bit, but, not the same as being able to really have an eye on the ground as you're running and jumping. We're going to try to get this out of the way, and we're going to do our best here. Alright, so far so good. But now we have a little less room here, because we're already on a... Well, there you go. And therein lies the problem. Right, so take 2 on this. And I'm hoping I have a better luck this time. And so far so good. We're going to need to get our gun out so we can deal with the enemies on this side. But alright, we nailed it. And this appears to be the utility belts. A classic superhero costume staple, as it ever was. And as soon as we exit out of that, we gotta be ready for the enemies. So far so good. And alright, now before they respawn, the return trip. Sort of a pain in the butt that all the enemies infinitely respawn in this game, but... Alright, here's the toughest one. And I messed that one up too. Alright, you know what they say, third time's a charm, baby. Here we go. I don't know if that's the toughest one, or the same jump on the return trip is the toughest one. Alright, grab the belt, and don't even... Well, I was gonna say don't even worry about the enemies, but I don't want to get pelted from behind while I'm in midair and maybe knocked off course. Alright, so strategy, change of strategy. Let's just jump directly for this platform. And hey, that worked out pretty well for us. But yeah, that whole section's sort of poorly conceived, as I'm hoping you've gathered. As you can hopefully understand. And I think that actually does it for this whole floor. There's not much else to do here. Except try to take our gun with us onto the elevator, right? And that was awfully rude of the mutant, if I do say so myself. Which takes us to the next floor. Now here's the portion of the Let's Play where you viewers at home will be pulling out your complimentary coloring books that came with the LP, because we're going to be doing some art on this floor. Do we get another animation for this door opening? Nope, just the standard in-game stuff. Almost a disappointment.
Over here!
Oh, what was that? Was someone calling for me? Hello?
Over here!
Is this the painting talking to me? Hello?
Over here!
I'm over here, painting. Alright, what do we have to do in this room? What?
Over here!
Let's check this out. In case you forgot what the character you saw in the intro cutscene looked like, the Galloping Gazelle looked like. There it is for you.
Over here.
Right, so have you figured it out yet? We have to paint the Galloping Gazelle. We have to fill in the missing colors. But amazingly, this is the worst equipped art room in the world, and it contains absolutely no paint of any sorts. Or maybe it does in one of those boxes, but we can't be bothered to open those up now, can we? Alright, we're gonna have to find some paint in one of these other rooms. And we'd better hope they have more art supplies than the actual dedicated art room on this floor. Maybe the janitor's closet, as this appears to be. Which this room features what I can only refer to as 2.5D water, which is always a sight to behold. It was a simpler time back then, wasn't it? Back in, hey, 1998. This game sure doesn't mind dating itself. Which brings us to this curious little detail. Now, Flo is a member of the League of Good Guys. What would she be doing having a sort of office of sorts, having her own room in the Mutants' headquarters? Doesn't make much sense to me. And hold on a second. Up those crafty devils at DreamWorks Interactive, sneaking it in. Pretty sure they sneaked this into all their games, as a matter of fact. I know they certainly did in the other Goosebumps game they did, Escape from Horrorland. Moon seems awfully close. Hoping we don't have a Majora's Mask situation on our hands, if you catch my drift. And yet another room, with yet more storage boxes. And yet there's no more paint for us in this room either. There's this comic vending machine though, which, that's a novel concept. A winning game of tic-tac-toe, Go X. Right, well, still no paint. Hey, wait a minute. Would this work? This precarious, unexplained slime? Yes, it will. That's actually exactly what we need. Hold on a second. If the moon is facing that way... But also... But... Wait, how did... But then how would the moon... Oh, don't even question it at this point, Haberman. Don't go crazy over this. Okay, so let's see what this accomplishes. Probably not much. I mean, it's just a painting, right? We're just gonna fill in the colors to complete the painting. And oh, what's this? What an unexpected turn of events!
It's okay. I'm okay. No big whoop, no major damage. Whew. By the way, nice work. I'm now back and ready to rumble. Pinky's the one who did this to me, and he's going to pay. Hey, while I go after him, I strongly suggest you stay on the mutant's tail. Cool? Gotta zoom!
Well, that made perfect sense to me. I'm through questioning anything that happens in this universe now. You know what? I'm gonna paint him and he's gonna come spring to life again? Whatever. I accept that. That's a hell of a cutscene. Oh well, we probably won't have another one for a while at least. Obviously we've met the quota for this floor, and oh, are you kidding me?
Heads up!
What are you doing?
You dare to interfere!
And just run right past me, why don't you? That's perfect. Yeah, that needed to be its own cutscene. We couldn't just link those two cutscenes together, right? Right, of course not. You know what? Let's give chase. Let's see if we can't catch up with them. Let's see if we can't just find them on this floor, right? I'm ready to take them both on with this rake. I'm feeling empowered right now. No, not in this corner. In this room? No. No, of course not. Which means they must have gone into... No, of course not, unless they're hiding in the closet, in which case I'm not going to be the one to force them out of the closet. That should be something that happens naturally. Right, well, leaves no other option but to take this elevator to yet another floor where more hijinks will inevitably ensue. And, this is actually a repeat. See, this is Pinky Flamingo's floor. We've been here before. Good to see the door is back. Hopefully we don't have to leave through the vent again.
Hey, how's about a little, help?
Oh, you must be the rocker stereotype. I think that's the last good guy we've yet to meet, so this takes care of that. Hey, nice new rug. Really ties the room together.
Look, if I gotta hear much more of this oatmeal music, man, I'll be totally brain dead from the neck up.
Yeah, this seems like a fate worse than death for sure. Well, okay, let's see what we can't do for you here, buddy.
Come on, man! Oh!
Whoops, sorry about that. You know, kind of weird that Pinky set all this up instead of another art trap. I mean, that seems more his style, to be honest. This doesn't fit his MO at all. Unless, of course, there's a really easy way to escape it. Which, hey, we're in luck!
Whew, fine flicking, man. I got a jet, but I'll for sure tell the rest of the league that you are clearly a cadet to be trusted. Whoa, one more thing. Never forget the feedback credo. Look hot, stay cool, and always steer clear of the bee.
That's a pretty lousy credo, honestly. I couldn't even make out the last word of it. Was it beam? Or bees? Or the letter B? I mean, not to harp on the guy, I know my own diction isn't perfect, but come on, voice actor. Gotta enunciate a little better. And that's actually gonna do it for the return to this floor. Nothing else to see here. Did they run out of ideas for stuff to put in the game at this point? Maybe I spoke too soon?
As usual, I'm here in the nick of time. Don't you just love me? Captain Bob, at your service. I know you're dying to thank me, everyone always is, but there's no time for that now. That comic book you arrived with, may I see it? Don't tell me you've lost it! It must be in the building! I have reason to believe it contains a vital clue concerning Mutant's greatest weakness. Get going! Track it down! I'll let the other League members know what's happening. When you find it, meet me in room 509. Till then, my friend!
I would say that dude was acting suspicious, but I sort of feel that way about every speaking character in this game, even the League of Good Guys, as it were. Right, so I won't even pretend to know where this is, what plane of existence we're currently on. Would this constitute being on the dark side of the moon? The sense of perspective here leaves, well, something to be desired in terms of realism, but... Also, I tried jumping off the side there, and it didn't quite work out, so I guess going back to Earth the long way is out of the question. Sometimes you just want to take the scenic route, you know? Well, we're back on this floor again, safely, if not inexplicably returned. But hold on a minute. 2 elevators. Yes, it's time for yet another optional area. They're just tossing them right at us in this episode. Sort of a testament to how short this game actually ends up being, even with the 100% completion route. Let's see if this is the right elevator again. Yes, it is. And we're greeted right away with potentially the most genuinely scary bit of imagery in the game. I mean, assuming anyone actually took skeletons seriously anymore. So these dudes are pretty similar in design to the dudes we were facing earlier when we were getting the gloves, I think, in the ventilation shaft. And this gun looks very similar to the gun we were using earlier, except this one's painted green, obviously, lending itself to the sort of limited color palette they've got going on here. You know, I think it might be safe to say we've got an infestation problem going on here. Right, well that's the cape right there, behind this cage. Didn't take us very long to find it. Okay, and there's the moon again. And yet another pile of bones as well. A lot of decorations going on in this area. But I think one of these is slightly more interactive than the others. Guess that'd be an Iron Maiden, if not mistaken, if I know my medieval torture devices, and I do. Which actually acts as a way of opening up the cage. Which is totally self-explanatory, right? Kids will totally get that. Right, well there's 2 pieces I'm seeing now that we have yet to collect. See, this skeleton couldn't solve the puzzle, poor fella. I was sort of half expecting like a Dark Souls style message on the floor in front of him. Something like a skeleton butthole? Right, well we've gotten the piece of the costume, so is there anything else left to see on this floor? If the previous area was any indication, signs point to no. But let's do our due diligence, take out these enemies, and explore the rest of it to be sure. Who knows, maybe the game will be generous and give us another costume piece for free, or maybe give us both of them, maybe we can just fly away and finish the game right now. Might not make for the most compelling LP though, unfortunately. No, the rest of this does just appear to be a labyrinth for the sake of a labyrinth. A needless maze for the sake of confusing children. Yeah, there's really nothing here. They really just put the rest of this here just to mess with you, just to hope that you get lost in it, despite the costume piece being readily available from the start. Which is our cue to book it. And get pretty much the same cutscene we had earlier, except the gun is recolored. And we're back revisiting this floor again, I guess. Man, this game is really just starting to cut corners. You see, again, this is the sort of thing I did notice as a kid, that this was very suspect to me. That it reeked of cutting corners and lazy design. And I didn't even notice the DreamWorks moon in this room as well earlier. So that's 3 spots where the moon is sort of out of place. Right, well, the reason we're here on this floor is to buy a comic, conveniently priced at 25 cents, which I guess this is 25 cents. Weird currency in this universe, considering that the masked mutant is the bad guy trying to take over the world, and he seems to have already taken over the currency system. Right, well here we are with another copy of the comic book. Why the mutant couldn't just grab this himself when he was on this floor? Beyond me. Or, you know what, he has a printing room where they're printing hundreds of copies of this. Why do we have to be the one to fetch it for him? Why does he not know where they are? You think he would know the way around his own headquarters? In fact, why don't we go ask him right now? I wonder if he's in right now. No, it doesn't appear that he is, not even pretending to be a phone. Maybe Captain Bob scared him off. Right, we're supposed to meet him on this floor, I think. That room 509 or whatever number it was. If that's the actual room number, I'll be very impressed with myself. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume that room 50 whatever it is on this floor, because they put us on this floor. I mean, that's how the game works. Is that they tell you to go to a place, and next stop, next floor, is the floor that contains that place. Hey, here's actually another entrance to the greenhouse from earlier. So you can get to that from the painting, or from that door. I think they put this here so you have a second chance to get the costume piece from it, in case you missed it the first time. And holy cow, did I get the room number right the first time? I'm sorry, I don't have a good memory, so I'm surprised when I actually get memorization and stuff like that right.
Ah, you found it! Great! Hand it over!
Fool! You've fallen directly into my trap. Now watch! That untrustworthy dog, the magnificent molecule man, imprisoned Chinchilla in his comic book, and it took a buffoon like you to free her for me.
Now, doll, I figure the least I can do is repay the favor by blasting you right out of this world.
So, just so I have everything that just happened there clear, Magnificent Molecule Man trapped Chinchilla in the comic book, but I guess it didn't matter which comic book it was, because we just got one from a vending machine and she was inside of that one, so she could have been taken out of any comic book, theoretically. And it took the masked mutant to pretend to be a whole different character in order to lure us into getting the comic book for him, because he can't apparently get this comic book himself. And to top it all off, instead of just killing us like a bad guy really should, they zap us into this ice zone. Yep, I'd say this spot is as good as any to leave you viewers at home hanging. Till next time.